Keep California cowgirls from vanishing.
Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show. Training our horses and miniature cows in ranch versatility. Penning Rusty and Susie, our bull and heifer. Roping Rusty with Morgan horse, Semi. Training Eve to work over her haunches with a motor cow simulator. Training Eve on a cow roping simulator.
Sadie practices over the haunches with an ATV mechanical cow simulator.
Pulling slack. And Susie's coming my way because she feels the pressure behind her horns.
Using an electric bike mechanical cow simulator, we provide practice for our Morgans to pick up speed after going over their haunches. Here is a short clip to show you how Sadie practices picking up speed after over the haunches with the electric bike mechanical cow simulator.
Sadie, to allow over the haunches and then pick up speed following the moving object without using the cows at this time. My helper Josh is on the bike, the electric bike, and watch how we design this. Out here on our sand-covered driveway. Let's go for it. It's working. Sadie is not throwing her head like she used to. We're opposite direction. We're working over the haunches. Then we're picking up a trot. Now Josh at the other end is gonna make a U-turn. We're asking Sadie to stop. Over the haunches and follow, yes. And we're gonna increase speed. And then do this in various places, not just here on the driveway, but elsewhere, and especially in the pasture when it dries out. We'll probably use the ATV out there because it has better traction. And then we'll bring the cows out. We don't want to overuse those darling little mini zebu heifers. Great. We're going to get to the point where we can actually pick up a canter, but we got to make sure we got go and whoa, push button. At some point, can you try a canter? Let's see what happens. We may be trying to do too big of a goal today to get a canter, but at least we're getting a fast trot. It's hard to get Sadie, she's my youngest Morgan, to pick up a canter, push button, but she's certainly doing the simulated cow work the way we want her to. Okay, so again, prerequisite skills. We're going to work out here next time without the electric bike, just picking up the canter. Almost. Got it, got it, got it. Good. Very nice. Over the haunches. Over the haunches. Great. If you could do it one more time, that would be great, and then we'll stop. It's about to storm. It's very windy, but Sadie's my best horse in the wind. See if we can get that again. Okay, back, 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 over the haunches, great. Got it. And that's our exercise today.
Here is a brief practice with Semi and the electric bike.
Today on a very windy, almost stormy day, we're giving Semi an opportunity with Katie in the saddle and Aaron at the electric bike. We're giving Semi the opportunity to pick up a canter and follow this mechanical cow simulator, just an electric bike. Okay, we're going to show you for a couple minutes how we're doing this. We're going to keep practicing so that we can get our Morgan horses to follow our mini cows even when the mini cows pick up speed. Okay, Aaron, let's see what happens. Semi is much more readily cued into a canter than was Sadie. Over the haunches, she's real good over the haunches. The issue here is the wind, the rain if it happens. And it has been raining, so the ground is wet, but this is a sanded driveway. Okay, and so what we're trying to do is get my Morgan horses to understand that not only are they going over their haunches, powering from their hips, but also following at the speed at which the moving object is going. One more time, you guys. We try to be creative here, how to practice without overusing our zebus. We want them, especially little young Sela, to stay fresh. She's been a great mini zebu to work in the arena. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, just an example of what can happen when the weather is challenging. We got a couple of bucks. Katie's a very good rider, and you can see what she's doing now. To slow down some, one rein stop. Let's go slower now. We want to stop on a good note. Even though it's sunny, it's very, very windy, and I'm sure you can hear that. Backwards request is usually a very good focus gathering command. Okay. He's going to go slow now, Katie. And you see, because this is a simulated cow, a moving object, a mechanical, it's under our control. And we want to slow it down now so that we can stop on a good note of resolution. We don't want Semi to feel that she stopped working because of that buck. But you can see she's a little bit excited, good, but she's working over her haunches. Yeah, let's keep doing it for another moment. Good. We're actually keeping her at a trot now instead of asking her to canter. Sometimes that's important. Okay, when you feel that it's a good time to stop, go ahead and stop. Back her off and get off. See, she's a ranch versatile cow horse that has to understand that there are times she has to listen to the rider, and there are moving objects that go different speeds, but there are times, especially when we put the reins on her neck, that she has to move with the moving object on her own. And that's what our cow work practice and goals are all about.
Here are some clips of Eve practicing over the haunches with an oncoming electric bike cow simulator, and then following it with increasing speed.
And we're going to ask her to follow the electric bike, go over her haunches, and pick up speed as the electric bike increases speed. First, we're doing it without the electric bike. And by the way, we've had many days of rain, and this is maybe the first day in 6 days that we've had some sun, so we haven't worked the horses a lot. Eve is not quite as light as we'd like her to be. She's giving us a little bit of trouble of stopping on a dime, which is extremely important, so we're going to be working on that before we work with the cows. And our next objective is to move to the east and south side of my property and work with the cows. Okay, Katie, let's show what she can and can't do. Remember, over the haunches, very important. Remember, rating the moving object, very important. That is, if the moving object increases speed, the horse is to understand that they're to increase speed. So we're doing it at a walk first. On the way back, Katie will try to pick up a trot. Ooh. Then a canter. Back. We want that head to come down, so we need to work on the bump, bump, bump. She's got the double reins on too, so there's a trot. Oh, whoa. Look at that head coming up. How about the double reins? If we can get that brake at the pole, it's much easier to get lightness. We don't have spurs on today, as Eve especially is very sensitive to leg pressure. We're going to try to cue her other ways. Back up a little bit when she keeps walking forward. Back up and back up straight. That's the objective if we're not getting the whoa.
Back.
Use the double reins, get that head down, then ask for the back.
Back.
Okay, we're going to work on this for a few minutes and then turn the camera back on. Well, we've been working with the camera off on the stop cue with Eve. We feel comfortable working with her at a walk and a trot. We don't feel comfortable today trying it at a canter. So our plan is to show you at a trot what we do, how we use the double reins to get the brake at the pole and get her to stop. And if she doesn't stop for every step she goes forward, we ask her to back up and back up straight. And then we're going to stop the camera again, and my bike rider is going to ride the bike, and we're going to try the same exercise with the bike. Okay? Katie, we're at trot. She did okay at walk. See that lift the double reins? Yes. And I've got my wide stick here to help with cues. And now we're stopping at various random places, not always at the same place. See it? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, too many steps forward. Now Katie's going to do a one rein stop until Eve's feet stop moving. We find it quite challenging to work with 3 different horses at 3 different training levels with the same exercises. And we get to use everything we've learned over the years about natural horsemanship training. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And one of the objectives of the Urban Cowgirl Show is to show you when it works and when it doesn't. Okay, now we're going to turn the camera off, because my supposition is that when she has something to follow, we'll get better response from her. She'll understand better that she's to increase her speed or stop when the moving object stops. That's my supposition. So we'll see, and you'll see, because we'll show you. Here we go, we're trying it with the bike. First very slowly with Eve. She knows that she's supposed to follow this moving object. My concern is that she'll consider it an obstacle and get spooked by it. And she did. She did. So we're doing one rein stop. We're going to go back towards her. This is our mechanical cow simulator, just an electric bike that with a button push we can go faster and faster without pedaling. Katie, you can go ahead and pick up a trot. Let's see how she behaves. Kind of hard to go that slow with the bike. Oh, oh, oh. One rein stop. We're still not getting the whoa. Try it one more time, and you know what? We're just going to show you that we got to practice this off camera quite a bit before we start trying to move and rate the cows, because it's quite dangerous to work around these little mini cows with a horse as big as Eve and not get a stop. Over the haunches, she's good about that. Now we want her to follow the bike at a trot. Good stop. Over the haunches, good. If she does it that good on this side, let's quit. Let's call that our note of resolution.
Ooh.
And back up. You can stop the bike.
Ooh. Ooh.
Back up a few steps.
Back.
Good. Good. Patterns, and yet we don't want anticipation. And that's what we've been able to work with this morning using our electric bike mechanical cow simulator with Firecrest Easter Eve.
It has rained so much in the past week that we can't plan to use the pasture for penning practice for a couple more weeks. So we practice penning Seela in a nearby sand-covered portable panel corridor near the pasture.
In our, what we call our penning pasture. But there's been a lot of rain for the last week or so, so we're not going to do cow work in here because it's likely to be slippery, especially under all of that deadfall that you see. So instead, we're going to move Susie and Seela, maybe just Seela, we'll see how it goes, into a corridor that's sanded nearby this pasture and see if we can work them very, very slowly with Semi today. What I did was I put my little kid's lariat around Seela's head and just asked her to lead with me over here, saying step up. She was okay on it, hesitated a few times. Susie hasn't yet followed. She's still out in the pasture, but I'm going to give her the option of coming up pretty close here to watch. I don't think Seela is going to be upset by this whole ordeal, because she's beginning to realize she's a little ranch versatile mini cow. Now, I'm going to, with the help of my whip, not to whip her, but just to make a herding sound, I'm going to take her to the middle of this corridor that's kind of halfway between an arena and a pasture, because there's a lot of deadfall, it's close to a creek bank, a lot of distractions, the kind of situation that you want a ranch versatile horse and cow to be able to work in without losing their focus. So this is our next small step. That's my philosophy of life. Take one small step at a time as safely as you can. Our next small step to getting our Morgan horses to be ranch versatile cow horses and to get our little miniature zebu cattle to allow themselves to be worked as cattle. In some respects, they're almost like little dogs. They're so easy to handle and have such a wonderful disposition. Nevertheless, they need to be bovines too. And this is how we work with them. Now we're going to walk her all the way to the other end of the corridor. Semi's going to be on this end, on this half. We expect Seela's going to want to get back again to the way she came in. We just want Semi to allow her to run by and maybe work over her haunches, which Semi pretty much does on her own. Let's go, Seela. Step up. Step up. Seela sure doesn't want to go. Step up. Step up. Tack problems and muscle problems. We're going to have Erin take her down. She's learning a bad habit. We can't let her get away with it.
Step up. Step up. Step up. Step up.
And it's better if you look away from her. These are all tricks to working with horses too. Good, now she's moving. See if you can walk to the other end. Step up, good. There you go. Now she's leading nicely. When you let loose and just take the lead line off and you can leave the halter on. Now we'll see what Semi does. Mostly this is just a pretest to see, can we work the cows back here in this corridor until that pasture dries out. There we go. Seela's walking quietly now. We don't want to pressure her too much. We don't want her going through the fences, which any cow will if they get too stressed. Now, Semi, we want her to stand there and wait for Seela to decide what to do. And if we want to encourage Selah to move, Erin is going to walk up behind her. No, here she's coming. She's coming all by herself. We want Semi to stay calm but attentive. We know that she knows what her job is. Katie is very quietly, slowly walking towards Selah. And here goes Selah. And Semi's going to rate. And then when you stop her, good. When you stop her, make her go back a few steps, straight. That's it. Beautiful. That's the kind of stop and back we want. We're working with Sadie on that, and more than anything, we're working with Eve on that, because we noticed when we were working our mechanical bike simulator, that cow simulator, that Eve's stop has deteriorated, and without a stop, you don't have safety. So we're going to work with that daily before we let Eve work with Selah. And that's all for today. Our note of resolution, Sonia Sokolow, the Urban Cowgirl, www.urbancowgirlchannel.com. And thank you, Semi. Thank you, Katie. This is what you do when you live on a small property in an urban setting, but you want to be a cowgirl.
We bring heifer Susie to the corridor so that we can give Morgan Sadie some practice in cow work.
The penning pasture that's almost dry enough, but it's going to start raining again in a day or two for many, many days, so we're not going to plan on doing some penning out here right now. We're going to take Susie into the corridor where we worked Selah yesterday. We'll let Selah come in if she wants to, but we don't want to overuse Selah. She's been such a good bovine for this practice of cow work. But when we do come out here, when the weather's right and the surface is right, and we feel that even though we have Morgan horses that know what they're doing, there's still going to be training glitches, so we don't want to do it while it's slippery. Our pen is right over here. It's going to be a deep pen, and we're going to be able to open the opening as wide as we want because it's made by portable panels. Right now I have the opening not too wide, not too tight. Now I'm going to go and get Susie with this lariat. She has horns. I'm going to try to put it around her horns. I really don't know if she's going to run or not, but they're looking real calm right now, Susie and Selah. Rusty's on the other side of the cross fence eating some hay. But I think Susie and Selah know that it's time to work. We'll see how they do for us today because we're bringing Sadie to the corridor. Just to let Sadie stand there while Susie or Selah runs by her. Make sure she'll work over her haunches, not get too upset. Advantages and disadvantages to having horns. Those are pretty sharp horns. I have to stay out of the way, but yet it's nice to be able to lariat the horns and not worry about choke around the neck or around the head in one horn. I just like to involve the horns only if I'm roping. So let's see, Selah is not following, that's okay. I'm going to give her the option. We're going to get Susie into the corridor all the way at the north end. We're going to bring Sadie in, have her stand at around the middle of the corridor, and then with the help of this bullwhip, just to make a sound, a herding sound, we're going to ask Susie to move toward the south end and see how Sadie behaves in this corridor. Now this is not a real wide open pasture, but it's not an arena either. It's a sanded corridor with deadfall on it. But because it's sanded, I feel it's safer to work when it's slightly wet.
Now Sadie meets Susie in the corridor.
We've desensitized my horses to this whip sound. Susie knows it means she's being herded. Yeah, over the haunches while she's on the rope is good. See, Sadie's a little bit stressed. Okay, stop Sadie for a minute. Now, the next activity is I'm going to take the rope off again. I'm going to make the whipping sound. Susie may not go fast, and your most important function up there is not to let Sadie get so upset that her hind end goes towards Susie and is in strike zone. Because Sadie's my youngest, she gets excited. Now let's let Susie stand for a minute. Okay, here she goes. Step up. Step up. Keep that hind end over. Good? Yes. And Susie said, okay, right, go with her. That's it. That's it. That's the drill. Over and over and over again. We're going to work these cows. This time in the small corridor, we call it. Next time, when weather permits, in the big pasture where we have the pen. And that's going to be the challenge. All three horses, either singly in pairs or maybe even if we can get enough riders here, all three of them together to pen Susie and Selah. And that's all for today. It's the Urban Cowgirl Show.
Ashley and I were talking after we turned off the camera. I said, did you feel like you had to tell Sadie everything? Or was Sadie starting to do it on her own? Because remember, Sadie's my youngest, not quite as experienced a cow horse as Semi was. And here's Ashley's answer.
I think Sadie's definitely starting to figure out what her job is. The first time Susie went by, she turned on her haunches. She started to turn on her haunches all on her own, and I didn't really cue anything until about halfway through. The second time she went by, I just made sure her back end wasn't too close to Susie, and then she kind of did everything else on her own.
And they really like to know what their job is. They really like the excitement of doing cow work if they're not stressed and scared. And that's why we're doing it one small step at a time. Our cast of characters: Sadie and Eve, Semi, Rusty, and Susie. Heifer calf Selah. For more information, www.cowgirlchannel.com.